Welcome to this generation's webcast. My name is John Vanderveen, and I'm on the marketing team here at Generations. I want to thank you for joining us today for this Q&A webcast titled Taming the Tornado Years, Cultivating Faith, Learning and Habits that Stick Even on Your Worst Days. This is a Q&A webcast, and we will be taking your questions after we hear from our speakers today. To submit questions, please click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom application and submit questions there. Please let us know where you're joining us from today by posting in the chat box. We'd love to see where you're from and hear from you. We'll also be doing 3 separate giveaways today, and each winner will receive a $100 gift card to the Generations store. So be sure to stick around during this webcast to be eligible for those drawings. Joining me today is a fantastic group of speakers who I'll be introducing along the way. We're looking forward to hearing from each of them. Starting us off today is Renee Ellison. Renee has over 30 years of experience in the field of education, Christian, private, secular, and homeschool settings, and provides a wealth of knowledge and tons of helpful teaching resources and products over on her website, homeschoolhowtos.com. Renee, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
Wonderful. The early years of homeschooling can feel overwhelming. There's so much information, so many resources, and so much pressure to get it right. But today we want to zoom out and talk about what really matters most during this foundational season. So give us the big picture here. Why are the early years so important compared to later education? And what are some of the habits and patterns we should be establishing with our kids when they are young?
Those are wonderful questions. There's a reason the communists say, give me your child until they're 5 years of age. It's because they know those are the pivotal years where you really, really make a difference for a lifetime. And so we want to zoom back, as John said, and look at the big picture of what is it that we're actually trying to accomplish. And that for homeschoolers is a tussle between character training and academics. And we want to look at what it means and how you navigate that. Let's start with living life backwards. Let's pretend that let's imagine that we're standing before God at the judgment. Can you imagine him asking us, what was the year of the War of the Roses? Or name me all of the European royalty kings, or tell me a chemistry equation, blah, blah, blah. He is not going to ask those kinds of questions. And yet we live every day as if that's the final test we're going to get is what were our academics. So the first thing he wants is godly seed. And we're told that in the book of Malachi. He wants godly seed forever, for eternity. So we've got a long goal here, a big, rich goal that he wants godly seed to live with him forever. So this is far beyond just mental training. And then if we go to chapters 4 through 6 in Deuteronomy, we find that we were given the job of discipling our children. So if we think of the word discipling rather than character traits or academics, discipling the whole person, he tells us that job is ours. And nowhere in Scripture does he say, give your child to someone else to raise. It's not in Scripture. He has given it to you. And he wants you, it's stewardship. The child doesn't even belong to you. The child belongs to God, who made the child in the womb. And he went to great effort to do that miraculously and beautifully, down to thousands of stem cells and millions of stem cells. Okay, so he's given you the primary job of stewardship. And what happens in the government schools is that we give our child to someone else to raise who isn't elected, and they aren't examined, and they weren't interviewed by us, and they aren't godly. And so for us to give them to the government schools is exactly, it's anathema to Scripture. So it's our primary job. And if we do give them to the government schools, what we're really saying is, I want them to influence my child more than I influence them. You're giving away that prize of influence. You only get that once, and you get it primarily in the elementary years. And it's a very valuable, we have to value this, that we're given influence over our children. And so it begins with the little ones. We begin to think of babies, well, the culture thinks this, that babies and toddlers are primarily maintenance. It's changing the diapers and feeding them. And we couldn't have it more opposite. The public couldn't have it more opposite than what it really is. What it really is growing that child's first impressions with everything. How does socialization work? How does honoring God work? Is there a God? Is he a constant reference point, or is he in and out? So we get the job of the first impression. And you've heard that phrase, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And those years fly by way too fast. And so we want to capitalize on our time there. So we want to teach the child two things: how to deny himself. In other words, how to have a supple will with the parent, which then trains him to have a supple will with God himself later in his life. So we're training the child to deny himself, to be flexible in all circumstances. That's a tall job. That's a daily job. That's a big, big goal. And then we're teaching him what love is from um, our bonding with him. Is there plenty of expressed love from the parent? Is there warmth in the eyes? Is there a smile most of the time on our face? You know, the child looks at you all day. You're looking at the child and seeing the squirrely attitude and the rebellion and all that, but they're looking at you. And a lot of spiritual life is caught rather than taught. So how overcoming are you? How lilting is your voice? How how much warmth is in your face toward them? Even if you've just had an altercation with your child, immediately put on the vesture, put on the robe again of expressed love to your child. So it's two things: you're firm with your child and you're affirming your child. Now, here's the secret to the discipline. The secret is calm consistency. Calm consistency. So and that's going to keep you from growing angry. If the minute you see at the control of letting out of water, it's the voice quality. If you hear a little snide remark, or, oh, I don't want to do that, or whatever, you cut it off at the pass. So it's calm consistency. You should never discipline in anger. If you're in anger, wait. Wait till you calm down. And then just firmly discipline and repeat the command and say, I want it the first time, not later. The child's responsibility is to give you obedience that's cheerful and immediate. If you're having to ask the child 2 or 3 or 4 times, they've learned to wait 2 or 3 or 4 times. So you ask that. You might even have come lessons. You stand over there and I'm going to say come, and let's see, you do it the first time I ask. So that's training the character, being firm and being affirming. You want to teach them that they have a moral responsibility to God, and that they have a loving responsibility to their fellow man. That is, in fact, what manners are all about, is considering the other person before you. Do you teach your child to look the person in the eye when they greet them, and to ask them other-centered questions? These are all things you train. They don't just come out of the birth canal knowing this. So this is your job. Your job is to train these children. So it's character training and academics together. If you're having trouble with academics, you need to stop and look at the chores. Are you having resistance with the chores? If so, you need to stop and get the response to chores appropriate. So get it done in the non-academic area, and then you should see it diffuse in the academic area. Now, here is a point for you parents about academics and character. Be very, very soft and tender on academics. If they don't get it, or if they're distracted or whatever, you help them with those things. But you're tender with academics, but you're heavyweight with character. If they lie, you land on it like there's no tomorrow. So there's many parents have that opposite. They're furious with their kid because they don't do their math problems right or don't finish their page. If they don't finish their page, just go over and tap the page with your pencil. Help them refocus. You don't have to fly off the handle over things that are just immature. Children come into the world immature and uncivilized. So you help them with those things. Um, so discipleship is in Deuteronomy chapter 4 through 6, and the Malachi reference is to godly seed. Okay, so now we've kind of dealt with the whole person. Now I want to deal a little bit with the spiritual versus the academic. You know, dominion over the earth is what God gave us in the garden, and dominion requires academics. You have to know something in order to be able to go someplace with your dominion. We began in the Garden of Eden, and we're going to end up in a city that shows the city of the New Jerusalem that shows some dominion there. So to not educate your child is to be no gift. They're going to flounder and they're going to have poor self-esteem. So I want to really hit this hard, that in the early years, reading is what is the most important. There are currently, this is just a staggering statistic, 47 of our 50 states are below average in reading, and below average for 2015. Now, COVID had a lot to do with that, but also things are just not getting taught. Kids are graduating from 12th grade and they can't read and they can't do math. So if you have a place where a child is weak in reading, you stop and you make that your highest priority. Okay, get the reading taught and get it taught well. So we have two cliffs in academics. One is looking at the classics as your God, and the other is unschooling, doing nothing but experience-based life. There are certain things that require daily skills. Now, if you feel behind in all this, remember, don't look back. The Lord is in today. Just grab a hold of today and move forward. And also examine your life. Examine, are there time eaters that aren't the best? Really scrutinize, where is the time going and where could I shore it up to be more focused upon my child. This is a holy calling and it's a big calling. What you're after is to love your child as if you won't have them next year, but you train them as if they won't have you. I think my time is up.
Renee, that was fantastic. I was taking notes as you were talking, obviously, and I so appreciate the encouragement here. I'm sure so many people heard stuff that perhaps they've heard before or maybe for the very first time. But thank you so much for this fantastic insights. Wonderful. Okay, as a reminder to everyone, we will be doing question and answer, so feel free to click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom application and send us your questions. We'll do our best to answer as many of those questions as we can. If you're having trouble locating the Q&A button, it may be under the More button on your Zoom application. But before we get to some of the Q&A, I just want to make sure you are aware of the Foundations sale that is going on right now over at the Generations store. Through Saturday, May 30th, we're running discounts on all of our K through 6 resources. So 4 sections here, 25% off K through 6 grade sets and individual courses, 35% off of all K through 6 grade packs, 40% off of individual science and history audio books, and 50% off of science and history audio sets. And don't forget, we also offer free shipping here in the US, media mail, on all orders of $149 or more. So you can shop all these discounts by going to generations.org/sale. All right. Before we move into our first Q&A here, I'm excited to announce that our first winner of our Generations card giveaway today is Emily Cospel. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly, but either way, Emily, congratulations to you. We will be emailing you after this webcast and coordinate with you about claiming your prize. All right. Now, we'd love to take some questions from you and put them before Renee. And if Mandy and Tana are here, if they want to jump in as well, they're more than welcome to. But Renee, a couple of questions came in while you were speaking, and I'm just going to ask one, but it actually was asked by a few different people. I'll ask one question that was asked by a few different people. How do I gain the respect and attention of my strong-willed child who likes to be active and not take school seriously?
Well, the solution to all academics I have found with the young ones is short spurts, limited short spurts, and then hit it a number of times. So if they just can't collect themselves and get there, you do just one row of the math facts, or you do a couple paragraphs of whatever, and then interchange it with riding their bike around the house or going and making the bed. I interchange it with chores so that there's active versus passive periods, active versus passive periods. And so that's a way to be tender about their lack of endurance. All discipline is learned externally first. It's the piano teacher sitting right with the kid on the piano. It's the parent tapping the pencil and showing them, okay, let's redo that letter F better, more legibly, and giving them an appetite for what it is they're becoming. Oh, you want to do this because then you're going to know if somebody asks you questions, or you're going to. So put them up on a pedestal that this is exciting because of who you're going to become. And just like we exercise our muscles, we have to exercise our brain. So give them an appetite for what they're becoming, and then do short spurts with spaced repetition and splinter the skills, the three S's. Short spurts, spaced repetition, and splinter the skill down to the tiniest little thing where there will be growth.
Mm. Oh, that's wonderful. Here's another question that came in, Renee, that is closely related, but I wonder if there would be anything else specific that you would be able to add to this. How do you recommend training a child who says, I can't or I don't know how to do something? Is there something like, would you kind of approach this differently versus somebody who is kind of in those rebellious years? How would you answer that question?
I would diffuse that defiance. I would say, well, everybody couldn't at the beginning. Olympic athletes couldn't. And so you say that and say, but you know what? Let's do this together. Or if they're not even at that stage, say, watch mama or watch dad. And I'm going to do this, or I'm going to read this, or put your hand on my hand. My daughter does that with her little 2-year-old. Put your hands as I'm playing concertos on the piano. In other words, get in there with them. So do it with them, even with their body being connected to you some way. So those may be helpful.
Yeah, that's good. What if a family, what if a mom has been basically in this pattern for a long period of time and is now realizing that she needs to essentially reset to kind of go, you know what? Maybe the approach that I've been taking with my kids is not necessarily the most effective. What would be the best way to move forward if she wanted to if she wanted to reset?
Well, attentiveness is your surefire way of getting growth. It's personal attentiveness, tutoring attentiveness. There's a reason why the British royalty got tutors for their kids, because they give them attentiveness. So if you need to even hire somebody, hire them for your laundry and your house cleaning, not for your child. You get the bonding happening with you, and you just pour on the attentiveness. Figure out some other way, or get more people involved with carrying the big thing, and you go after that one child with attentiveness and consistency. That's where it falls through the cracks, is when the consistency is not there. And the spaced repetition, splintering the skills, and short spurts, that really, really helps.
That's helpful. Uh, Tana, since you're here, I'm going to actually pivot to you and ask this question. Sorry for putting you on the spot here, but I think you might be able to address this. I'm wondering, let's say a child is frustrating you. What would you say to a fellow parent, a mom, a dad, even, in attempting to deal with their own sin or anger issues of yelling towards their kids?
Now, why would you ask me that question? Do you know something about me?
No, not at all.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm familiar with that question and that experience. I think what I have learned over the years is to talk to my child. When I have those moments where I fail in that way, we all moms want to be able to speak gently to their children, to be patient, but we're human and we're still learning ourselves. Homeschooling is character shaping for us as well. And so in those moments where we mess up, the best thing that I have learned is just to stop everything and apologize to my kid and say, I'm so sorry that I did that. We know that we don't speak to each other that way, or we don't, react that way. We talk about big feelings in our family. And so I'll say, I got overwhelmed and I had big feelings, but it was not okay for me to, you know, raise my voice or say that I'm so sorry. Will you please forgive me? And we pray together and I ask Jesus for forgiveness with my children. And then I make a concerted effort to change my direction. And they have learned so much through that. And I have learned so much through that. Now, when I'm now, thankfully, after all of these years, when I catch myself getting overwhelmed or feeling frustrated, I have learned to be like, mom's getting a little overwhelmed. Let's take 5 minutes. Let's go do a task, like Renee mentioned, going and doing a chore, or let's go for a quick walk or whatever it is, and we'll come back to it. And showing them how to manage ourselves and how to self-govern effectively before that outburst is also effective.
Some heavy duty stuff there for sure, Tom, and I appreciate you jumping in and your willingness to do so.
Could I
Renee, I'm gonna pivot back to you here. Or did you want to say something, Renee, on that?
just I've told moms through the years, when we have those irritated moments with our children, look up at Jesus. You just look up at him and your next sentence will be loving. It's just amazing. I have it on my refrigerator. We are changed by beholding, not by works or our own flesh or whatever. We're changed by beholding. So if we behold our Savior in that moment, your next sentence will, it's a miracle on demand. Okay, that's just something I wanted to stick in there over that.
That's great. He is the author and perfecter of our faith, right? So we go to him. Absolutely. Thank you, Renee. Renee, let's continue on with that. If somebody is kind of on the fences as far as homeschooling is concerned, and they've been a little timid or fearful about attempting to dive in to home education because they may be thinking, I don't want to mess up my kids or mess up the relationship that they have with their kids. They want to make sure that they're doing enough, they're doing a good job and enough as far as homeschooling is concerned. Renee, how would you respond to that person specifically?
Well, I would tell them the homeschooling method, everything God designs is designed with an overwhelming purpose of a wonderful victory. If you take on homeschooling in the elementary years, especially, all the problems are going to bubble to the surface, and you're going to be right there and see them. And you work through those years. And then when they hit junior high and high school, you can sit back and put your feet up practically. But if you send them to a public school, those things can be sub they can be very, very subterrestrial or subcontinent or whatever. And you won't see them until they come out in a very ugly way and an overwhelming way that you don't have much influence over. So it's picking your battles. Do you want to have those kind of fights when they're junior high and high school and then have no relationship with them? Or do you want to get those things out of the way early and get that bonding going solidly? It's a lie of the enemy that you're going to mess up your child more than the government schools. The government schools are going to mess up your child royally, and we have statistics that show that. They dive bomb in their faith, the statistics are terrible. So that hasn't worked. So let's try this.
Love it. Renee, Tana, this is a question for either one of you. Renee, I'm going to ask you to answer it first, and then Tana, if you want to follow up. So, somebody asked, and this is a great question. Do you have any tips on schooling your children when you have toddlers or babies around? It's hard to get a routine. Renee, how would you help this precious mom who is looking for this ability to establish a routine when she's got multiple ages going on, young babies, young toddlers in the midst?
Yeah. And this is life. This is life. Life doesn't come in perfect packages. And we don't know how to do this. We go with one hand in the hand of the master every day, every hour. One of the first things I would say is to have the toddlers in a contained space. In other words, you don't go beyond this towel or this rug, and you're in a space where you can see them at all times while you're working with your older kids, and you give them little projects to do, etc. So keep the boundaries well defined at where you've got a visual. I used to do this when I trained teachers too. I'd say don't get absorbed with one kid and have the rest of the children hanging from the chandeliers. You have to keep the big picture, and then of course work with during nap times, and then pairing them with other children that are older. Like you take them on a walk for now, and then I'll work with you when you come back, and then a lot of that sort of um, back and forth with different strategies because the little ones have such a short attention span. But let them go after a drawer full of plastic containers or whatever. But I want you to toss that one back to Tanya.
That's great. Practical advice, just right in the trenches. Thank you for that, Renee. Tana, anything to add?
Yeah, we did a lot of those things as well. Depending on whether if I had a little baby, I kind of learned to nap with the baby or just to take that time for myself. So I started by teaching during nap time, but I realized I needed that time too. Especially, excuse me, if you guys are introvert moms like me, I need that time to regroup so I'm not momzilla later. But we did use nap time sometimes, especially if you have all younger children, they really only need very short lessons anyway. So you don't have to think in terms of hours or huge blocks of time. You're just looking for pockets. So like Renee said, putting them your toddlers in a space that's small, even with your like little kids, putting them in a high chair with some toys to play with, some busy bag type stuff. You can look them up online. They have lots of fun things just for 10 minutes, just to do a simple reading lesson or a simple handwriting or a simple math lesson with your kid. And then, the other thing that I think is helpful is to make sure that you do what's most important to you first in your day, because then if everything falls apart, which it does when you have little kids, you got the most important stuff done during that day. So we always did Bible time during breakfast because everybody was strapped in and their mouths were full and they couldn't escape anyway. And so, we would do Bible then, and then, we would do reading, and then we do math. And if everything falls apart after that, you got the most important things done, and that's a win. You can always pick up the next day where you left off.
Oh, that's great. Tana, I'm going to pass this one over to you as well. What about media, electronic media, cell phones, online classes as the kids grow older? What is your perspective to stay grounded in these truths that so far we've been discussing, and yet potentially bring in some of that stuff, or should we avoid them altogether? What are your thoughts there?
Well, there are a lot of different opinions on this in the homeschool community. My husband and I come from technology fields, so we are technology people. But we are, especially in the early years, we're very careful with what our children see with screen time and how much time they spend on screen time. There's all sorts of studies about, protecting your child from doing too much screen time for their development and all of these things. And plus, you just don't want to become too dependent on it because then they have trouble learning how to manage themselves when they don't have a screen available. So as far as learning things, we generally don't use a lot of that for the younger years. We might pull something in for fun, like during the summer months or something like that, or sometimes we'll do little videos that I found on YouTube together as a family to supplement a lesson, something like that. But things like online classes and activities, we usually wait till much later before we introduce those.
That's good. I appreciate your honesty there and sharing. Renee, we're going to toss this back over to you. We've got a couple more questions in this setting here. Any suggestions on how to keep someone from burning out as they homeschool? A question came in, and this is fairly raw, but the question was how to keep myself from burning out as I homeschool a stepson with learning difficulties and a traumatic or a chaotic past. He needs a lot of support and attention all day. And so she's finding herself pretty worn out and anxious in the mornings as she looks forward to another day of working with him. Renee, how would you respond to this mom?
Yeah, that's rough. Anytime you're going through something that's prolonged and endures over years. I've just finished doing elder care with my mother, who was 101, but she lived with us for 5 years. And that was night duty and day duty. And when you're going through, it's a kind of suffering, really, where you're laying yourself on the altar. And you just find that the Lord gives you the strength. I mean, many times I'd hit a wall and I'd say, Lord, help. I'd sit on the couch and just say, help. It couldn't even make the sentence. I just say help, and 2 hours later, I would have, fed her and washed her or whatever. And I thought, how did I get over that brick wall? And it was just a miracle. The Father did it. Um, uh, I want to piggyback on Tanya's comment, and it applies to this as well. If you do the math and the reading very consistently and a little bit, if you'll teach, you're going to think I'm crazy, but if you'll teach year round just a little bit, like 15 minutes on the reading and 15 minutes on the math, year round, that's going to take a whale of a lot of pressure off from you. You don't have to do, I have many parents say, oh, we're going to start school in September and we're going to end at the end of May. Well, it doesn't hurt to have mental discipline all summer. They can still play for 14 hours a day if you use up a half an hour. So consistently just moving that a little bit and staying with it can help. And also, for all the other topics, if you hit it once a week, if you think about that, you've hit it 52 times a year. I took ballet once a week, and I'm 75 years old now, and I still know the steps and the my body just immediately goes into those things, and I only had it once a week. So all those other things that you think, oh, I've got to cover this all day, every day, and my kid is just impossible without any academics. Well, just think you can hit that subject once. So just keep moving, inching forward with all the areas. And with a troubled child like that, find all kinds of positive things you can do together. Cook together or take walks together or things where you're not expecting a lot from him. Cuddling together, rolling on the floor together. These things will bring relief for the ongoing toll. But know that the Lord is watching this and you're getting stones in your crown.
Love that. My wife and I would always say that all of life is school. This is our Father's world, right? As the hymn goes. And so we would certainly recognize the fact that there is always an opportunity to teach our kids and keep that in front of them throughout the entire year. Great, Renee. Thank you so much. Hey, we want to transition now to this next session. And again, Renee, we're so thankful for the expertise and encouragement that you were able to bring today. You've already heard from Tana today, but I want to formally introduce Tana Meyer to you all. She's a homeschool mom of six, curriculum author, and owner of proverbialhomemaker.com. Tana, we've been talking about what matters most in the early years. Now let's discuss how we can accomplish some of these things practically. Can you share some of the practical strategies you've employed to ensure that you're teaching effectively in early years?
Just realized I was on mute. Well, yes, I have lots of things to share. Hopefully, I will be able to squeeze all these in time. One of the biggest pitfalls that I think it's important to keep in mind in these early years of homeschooling is thinking that successful homeschooling looks like some scene fit for social media and that it has to be packed to the gills with resources if it's going to be effective. I see a lot of that in, especially with new homeschoolers, but that kind of assumption has been around for a long time. And a lot of us start homeschooling assuming that we need to recreate a classroom at home, complete with our detailed schedules and elaborate activities and, stacks of curriculum for every subject. But I have learned that the most effective teaching, especially in these early years, is really very simple. Young children learn best through relationship and conversation, repetition, imitation of you throughout life, as humbling as that can be, and just daily life living with you. So they're always learning all the time. They're learning through, the routines of your family, through good books that you read together, through working alongside us, and they're learning through these habits that we cultivate in them little by little over time. And fortunately, we have their entire homeschool career to correct course if needed, and that's, really a blessing. But contrary to what we might think about these early years, they're not mainly about cramming as much information as possible into our children. These are foundational years where we're shaping their habits and self-government and building their confidence in learning, all while pointing them toward wisdom and truth and a growing love for God and His Word. And that itself is a full curriculum. So as far as what's effective teaching and what that looks like in these early years, it's often much more simple than we think. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all of those options out there and all of these, ideas and methods of how we should be homeschooling. But earlier homeschooling is very simple. It's reading aloud together consistently. It's short, focused lessons instead of, exhausting marathon battles. We're having good conversations with our children around the table, and scripture is woven naturally into the whole day. So I think as homeschoolers, we parents need to give ourselves permission to stop trying to overcomplicate things all the time. Children do not need this Pinterest perfect childhood in order to receive an excellent education. They need faithful parents who are willing to invest steadily over time and to keep coming back, when you hit a snag, to keep coming back to what your purpose is, what your goal is, and get back on track with your homeschooling. And what I've seen is that homeschool moms in particular, we can sometimes pendulum swing between an overly relaxed, just live life together kind of homeschooling and an overly intense pursuit of rigor and performance. You'll see that when you look at social media in particular, or blog posts or whatever, even advice from friends. There's kind of this pendulum swing that keeps happening over time. But as kingdom-minded homeschoolers that are pursuing a biblical education for our children, we want something deeper and more lasting and more enduring than either of those extremes, right? We want to faithfully cultivate wisdom and character and diligence, and of course academic excellence, but a love for truth within the natural rhythm of family life and pointing our children to Jesus. And so that kind of education begins by building strong foundations in these early years. And it looks like, faithful teaching and consistent habits and meaningful relationships, and providing them a home environment that is increasingly shaped by truth, wisdom, and the Word of God. And I think that word increasingly is kind of a key in what I just said, because we parents are still growing and learning too. Right? We will grow and mature right along with our children in our homeschooling over time and learn right along with them. So don't despair if you are struggling with consistency and diligence. Just keep relying on the Lord, seeking growth in these areas with His help as you craft a homeschool experience for your family. He is faithful to help us in those things if we ask Him. So let's talk basics a little bit. When it comes to reading and writing, I think it's easy to unintentionally overwhelm ourselves or our children in trying to move too quickly or doing too much at once. In the early years especially, short lessons are more effective. We've already heard that, but it's true. Consistency matters more than intensity, I think, and length of lesson. And, I always try to keep it very real as a very flawed mom. When I say consistency, I don't mean that you have to do every lesson every day for the rest of your life. Of course, that's ideal, but more often than not, I have to admit that in those early years when I had babies in tow and life was happening and things just sort of fell apart for the week, we didn't get everything done every day. There were weeks sometimes where we had to go back to, routines and habits and character. And that's okay. We just kept going, kept adjusting, and kept faithfully doing what we could to teach our children well. And they have become excellent learners because of those, steady investments over time, not because every day looked perfect. With reading in particular, what we do is we just watch for reading readiness. Things like, are they noticing letters and that they represent a sound? Are they, starting to sound out the words that they've heard over and over again in those read alouds we read to them all the time? Are they pretending to read? Are they participating in rhyming or word plays? Are they trying to read road signs? Things like that. When they've done those things, we start to notice those and they've developed an attention span of at least, 5 minutes, that takes longer with some than others. Then we are like, okay, it's a good time to try. And we start some simple, gentle, slow, steady reading lessons. And if we hit a wall at some point, where there's tears, we back off. And sometimes it's a few days or a few weeks or a few months even, depending on the challenge and the kid. And then we try again. And 9 times out of 10, that fixes the issue because they just needed more time. Sometimes their reading readiness doesn't necessarily match up with their developmental ability to be able to do reading lessons with you. At least that's what I've found in our homeschooling. So sometimes they just need more time. Another thing that's really important with reading and literacy in general is read alouds. We do read alouds all the time together and audiobooks. So I definitely recommend, that didn't come naturally. We had to build that up over time. So I recommend doing that if you haven't, use read alouds, use audiobooks in the car or at bedtime or during quiet time. Read aloud, obviously, scripture in the morning with your children or family devotions. We always have one novel going that we're reading together. Those are really helpful because they are hearing beautiful language, beautiful stories, and truth. We pick really good stories to read to them naturally, and it really helps with their, reading over time and their comprehension. And let's talk about writing. Writing can be very natural that way too. So once they show signs of writing readiness, we start them gently with as far as handwriting readiness, with a simple, copy work or workbook where they can learn letter formation and things like that. And we make sure that they are working on their fine motor skills. Sometimes kids need to work on that to build up their strength. And we continue that for the first several years too, especially for kids who are complaining that it's too hard or it hurts their hands. Sometimes they just, like playing with Play-Doh and doing fine motor activities. Narration is also an essential tool for us in our homeschool. We use it from preschool through high school, and it's used in a variety of homeschool methods. It basically just means telling back in your own words what you just read or heard or saw. So we do oral narration from the very beginning. So after a Bible lesson or a short story or a chapter in a book or something like that, we have them narrate to us what they heard or read. And you can even do it with short videos. So we always start with the youngest in our big family, with the youngest, and we work around the table. And each time the person adds more detail. And so it's a simple way to practice attentiveness because they have to listen carefully because they know they're going to be asked to narrate. They learn pre-composition skills and communication skills. And then around the 3rd grade, we start adding written narration as well. So we do oral narration all the way through high school with the things they read. But we add written narration around 3rd grade, and we just do it simple, like, we say, we want you to write 1 sentence per grade level. And that's not the only writing they're doing, but for narration, that's how we do it until they get a little older, and then we add more to it. And so we do a lot of notebooking in our homeschool, and so they'll just add their narrations right to the notebooking pages. So this is a gentle, effective way to prepare your kids to start moving into more structured writing activities later, and it helps them build writing fluency. It's a very, very gentle approach. We love it. So if you're trying to think, well, how do you naturally bring Bible into everyday learning? One of the beautiful things about biblical homeschooling is that the Bible's not confined to a single subject block in the day. Scripture shapes the way we understand everything. And a goal of our homeschools is that our children should see God and His Word in every subject and every circumstance. We're teaching them to recognize that all truth belongs to God and all creation points back to Him. So, when the Bible is shaping specific lessons and curriculum choices, it means that we're teaching every subject from that understanding that God is the author of truth, the creator of the world we're studying. Every subject was created by Him and belongs to Him and exists to bring Him glory. And on a practical level, that means in history, we're talking about God's providence and the consequences of ideas and the cause to effect and the reality of human nature. In science, we're cultivating wonder and stewardship and appreciation for God's order and design. In literature, we're helping children recognize godly wisdom and virtue and to identify folly and to see all of this with a biblical worldview. It's a very beautiful, rich education for them. Even subjects like math and language arts, we can cultivate diligence and orderliness and honesty and excellence. And together we can explore how these subjects were also created by God and can be used to bring Him glory in their lives, which is especially helpful when they start asking, well, why do I have to learn this? You always go back, well, how does this reflect God and His character? How could we use this to give glory to God? So this will affect how, we choose books and curriculum and the conversations we bring into our home. Don't simply ask, is this curriculum academically strong? Also ask, what view of truth and humanity in the world is this teaching my child? Especially if you're just starting out and you don't feel as confident yet in presenting those ideas to your child, choose curriculum that will help you do that well and biblically. And sometimes, that's very simple. And sometimes we need to bring that into our curriculum. So choosing curriculum that does it already out of the gate is usually your best bet. As far as where parents tend to overcomplicate things, I think one of the biggest areas is trying to do too much too early. We live in a culture that constantly pushes comparison and performance and educational pressure. Parents see everyone else doing things, what they're doing, and assume that they're behind if they're not doing all the things. So just be careful, moms, especially, to guard your hearts against that kind of comparison trap. A sustainable homeschool is usually a simpler homeschool. And that doesn't mean you're lowering standards, but you need to focus on what matters most and do the things that are most effective. And in these early years, it's fairly straightforward. Bible, reading, writing, math, and good books, and learning meaningful work and building strong family relationships and healthy habits. Those are the things that you want to focus on the most. So you don't have to replicate what school is doing in order to give your child an excellent education. In fact, I don't recommend replicating that at all. Okay, so let's see. A simpler approach is to have a good, faithful rhythm. For us, for our family, a strict schedule does not work at all. So we build our rhythm of our homeschool around our day naturally, and we build upon it. And just recognize that there will be hard days, and there will be interruptions, and there will be seasons that feel messy or slow, and that's normal in family life. And I think, especially, some of your mamas were asking in the comments there, the questions about struggling learners, struggling readers. I think it's essential to remember that when your child is struggling, it's actually a signal to you, a gift from God, that they need more support or they need a different approach so that they can learn best. It's actually a wonderful benefit of homeschooling, that they have us there with them to observe their strengths and their struggles and their needs and to craft a custom education that fits them best. And so this is what I want you to hear. Teach each child at their developmental level, gently challenging them and adapting to their needs instead of trying to force every kid into the same timeline in the same box. For example, some children pick up reading quickly and others need more time and maturity. And some need extra support because they have learning challenges. This is normal. Don't panic. I can speak from experience. I have 6 kids and their reading timelines have varied greatly. 2 learned to read when they were 5. 1 I didn't even have to teach them. Another just needed more time, so we did a whole lot of delaying, and then they started around 7 or 8 and they did fine. The others, 2 others had some fairly significant dyslexia and other issues. And one of them didn't even really take off with reading well until he was the middle of age 10. And now they are all excellent readers because we taught them at their level and met their needs where they are. So children gain confidence when they experience, progress at their pace, not constant pressure to do what you think they should do based on some external standard. And what helps us is that we're not imposing outside pressure, but we're remembering that growth in children is rarely linear, especially with those struggling kiddos. Like Renee said, to be gentle with those times. with dyslexic kiddos in particularly. I can share more on that if you want, but I have to move along because I think I've run out of time. So I'm just going to
Uh,
stop.
no, this is fantastic. I wrote down a couple things here. Pinterest is not the goal. I don't think you said it exactly like that, but that's what I heard, and I was like, that is gold right there, right there. And then secondly, that I wrote down was always asking the question, how does this reflect God and His character? What a great challenge and what wonderful encouragement, Tana. I really appreciate that. So we're going to pause here for a second. We'll be doing some more Q&A. So feel free to click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom app and send us those questions. We'll do our best to answer as many as we can. But before we get to that, I just want to remind you all of the Foundations sale that is going on right now on the Generations store. Through Saturday, May 30th, we're running discounts on all of our K through 6 resources, 25% off all K through 6 grade sets and individual courses, 35% off all K through 6 grade packs, 40% off individual science and history audiobooks, 50% off science and history audiobook sets. As Tana indicated, audiobooks is such a great resource for families. Don't forget, we also offer free U.S. Media Mail shipping on all orders $149 or more. And you can shop all those discounts by going to generations.org/sale. Okay, I'm also excited to announce that our second winner of our Generations gift card giveaway today is Joan Kraft. Congratulations, Joan. We'll email you after this webinar and coordinate with you about claiming your prize. All right. Now we're going to be answering some of the questions that you all have been typing in. I want to start with a really basic one, and it seems like it is the universal question, Tana. I know that as a homeschooling dad, I had to answer this question almost, well, I don't want to say daily, but at least probably weekly from both family and friends. What do we do when we feel the pressure or hear the idea that if I homeschool my children, they will not be socialized in the world?
Um, I didn't mean to laugh, but our kids are so well socialized because they get to interact with people from multiple age ranges, not just one age range. Our kids, nowadays with all the options out there for social activity, our challenge is not doing too much, not getting out of the house too much to remember, make sure we guard our home time. So our kids have so many activities. They're all but one are extroverts and they all have all these activities. So we actually have to, guide them and shape them so they're not doing too much. So I have never seen in our family socialization be a problem. I also want to point out that just if you're talking to dads in particular, one thing that helps is to point them to the statistics out there. There are homeschool research studies that have been done that talk about how homeschool students are not only outperforming academically and in civics and in the workplace, but they are outperforming socially. They are able to hold their own. So I think, yes, there are situations where you might have to be intentional with your children, especially if you have an only child or a shy child or one that's not wanting to do a whole lot of outside activities, to make sure, church is one of the main ways of being socialized, and family, of course, is the main way of being socialized, and it is healthier and a better choice.
Yeah, totally agree on all that. Thank you, Tana. That is fantastic. So, next question that we have here: how do you deal with letting kids read independently, and then they ask you a question, but you don't necessarily know what the answer is because you didn't necessarily read the book that they're reading, and so you're kind of at a loss for the answer to the question that they're asking specifically, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, no matter what the book is. How do you deal with that as a parent? Like, what would you do in that situation?
Well, there's a lot that I don't know. So I run into situations often where they ask me a question. It'll be like, well, let's go find out together, or show me in the book where you were reading that, or we'll go research it together. As far as, this is only partially related, but people have asked me with narration sometimes, because I'll have my older kids when they read something and they'll narrate it to me. Well, what if I haven't read the book? Well, I will sit there with the book and skim the book as they're narrating to me. And my goal is just to make sure that they have read it, that they understand it, and I will ask them questions. So, you can do a lot without necessarily having read the book. Sometimes, if it's a book where I really want to have understanding and more rich conversations with them, I'll stick it in an audiobook and I'll listen to it while I'm doing the laundry so that I can participate in those conversations with them. But I don't have time to do that for every book and every kid. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. Um, I'm curious, you did speak about integrating or attempting to bring in all those specific, the important topics or subjects at a younger age, and then obviously as the kids grow up, you can expand that out a little bit. Um, when it comes to a specific subject, someone asked specifically about language arts, but it could ultimately be about any subject. How do we as parents know that we are doing enough? What are the benchmarks that we should be looking for? Yeah, how do we know that we're doing enough with each of these subjects?
Yeah, I don't know any homeschool parent who's ever who hasn't wondered that at different stages. I think there are a few when I run into that doubt, there are a few things I keep in mind. First of all, every education has gaps. I'm not going to teach them everything. It doesn't matter if you spent the next 40 years homeschooling your child. They're going to end up on the other end not knowing everything. So as far as doing enough, what is enough exactly? What standard are we measuring ourselves against? Are we measuring ourselves against a public school standard? I think most people, when they say that, they're inadvertently comparing themselves to the public school. So that's just a mindset that we need to consistently correct ourselves from. Enough means that they are growing in these areas. They are learning at their pace. They are, enjoying their learning as best as possible. We can stretch them gently, but we don't want to overwhelm them or try to force them into some external, frankly, artificial standard that doesn't really mean anything. So as far as like the big picture of homeschooling, there are a few things as they get older. We're talking about the early years right now. So whatever you're doing right now, if you are focusing on Bible, reading once they're ready, math once they're ready, handwriting once they're ready, you're doing enough. As long as you're doing that at their pace, I'll just tell you, you're doing enough. As they get older and you start looking ahead into high school, we do try to make sure that our children are, have a transcript that's prepared for college. But that's very flexible as well as far as what they're learning. So I really think as long as you're hitting your priorities well, those priority subjects, and just teaching them at their pace, you're doing enough and you can rest knowing that. And the other thing, one more thing I'll throw out there. When you have these doubts and these concerns, do bring them to God. Do bring them in prayer to the Lord, because sometimes when we seek outside counsel on these things, you're going to get a lot of different ideas, but not necessarily the wisdom you need. So go to the Lord and ask him for wisdom. And he always brings clarity and peace when you need it.
What a great encouragement, Tana. Thank you so much. Renee, I'm going to actually ask you to come back in here. I've got a question as it relates to read alouds, sitting down with your kids all around you, and you pick up a book and you attempt to read them or have one of your children read it to the rest of your family. But the other kids are really rambunctious and noisy and chatty, and they got the chitters and they're just trying to figure out, like, whatever. They're just going crazy. They see Legos on the floor, whatever. How do you help a mom try to navigate through the busyness of doing read aloud specifically?
Well, I was helping a mother with 6 children, and she was just a marvel. She would run them around the house and exhaust them. She'd say, "Okay, everybody run," and they would do this circle through the house and run faster and run some more and run and just exhaust them. And then they would sit down for the read aloud. And by then, their little bodies had worked out some of that. Also, you can give them hand things like silly putty, or maybe they could draw or scribble or something, and put them each on their own little towel or sitting pad of some sort, so they're separated from each other, and they can move but they can't talk. And you make that a strict rule. You can move but you can't talk, and you have to stay in your on your seating pad or wherever you have them.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to bring Mandy Maltz in here for this next question. I'm actually going to ask you this question first, Mandy. I want to see you answer it, and then I'm going to go back and introduce you to our audience because this relates to specifically what Renee was just talking about. As far as audiobooks or read alouds are concerned, if a family is doing an audiobook, and a mom wants to stress an important point of that particular book, of a paragraph or a sentence, and you pause it, and some of the kids are kind of annoyed by that. How does a mom kind of overcome this layer of kind of annoyance that these kids might have in pausing the book for a couple minutes to discuss what the audiobook was just talking about?
I think I can kind of sympathize with these kids because when you're into a story and then all of a sudden somebody hits the pause button, you're like, wait, no, I was reading that. So it can get a little difficult. Maybe just warn them ahead of time, like, hey, there's gonna come this part where we're gonna talk about this and we're gonna pause for a minute. So just be aware that this is coming up. Maybe give them a little warning, especially if you've kind of skimmed ahead, like Tana says, that's something that I do as well. Or what I'll do is I'll read the chapter the night before because my goal as a homeschool mom, especially when we have read alouds, is to stay one chapter ahead. That's usually my goal because that's all I can handle is just one chapter and I'm good. But if I can stay one chapter ahead, then I know exactly where those points are that I want to maybe stop and ask some questions. And I've even given my high schooler a heads up like, hey, I'm going to ask you a question. So I need you to be ready and I need you to have your thinking cap on here. We might want to expand on this one topic just a little bit. So maybe just give them a warning and eventually they will get used to that and then they won't be so upset, as you go on down the road, especially if they're expecting that break.
Oh, that's fantastic. So now I want to officially bring in Mandy Maltz. She's a homeschooling mom to two boys, a former professional educator with a bachelor's in elementary education, and owner of buymandymaltz.com. Mandy, thank you so much again for joining us here today. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, we've covered some great principles for teaching the younger years. Now let's talk about the daily reality of making it all work, rhythms, routines, and how to keep going even on those hard days. And we've alluded to that a little bit, but let's get into the nitty-gritty. So, what does a healthy homeschool rhythm look like with young kids running around?
So I am a mom of two teenage boys, and they were, of course, once little, but I've kind of seen the other side of this because I don't have little kids running around anymore. But today we live in the era of social media influencers, and we really didn't have a whole lot of that when I first started homeschooling. It was not cool to homeschool when I first started homeschooling. This was way pre-COVID. So I think due to social media influencers, we kind of can easily get a warped idea of what our homeschool rhythm should look like, or our routine should look like, or even our homeschool space. And if you join any homeschool page, they're typically going to have some kind of schedule online as like a free download. And here's your homeschool schedule. All you have to do is give me your email and click print. And I'm sure that some of those might work for some people, but I get the concept of this, but oftentimes it just creates a lot more stress than anything else. So I have an upcoming 10th grader, and when we started our ninth grade year last fall, I actually tried to do a schedule. I did. I tried my hardest, but I did not get through the first week of school. I didn't even get through the first day. So it was one of those like in a perfect world kind of scenarios in my brain. But if anything, my homeschooling journey has shown me that we live in a fallen world. So, this was not a perfect world, and these schedules did not stick with my family or my child. So, we follow something that I call a rhythm, where we do the same things in the same order each day, but we don't follow a schedule by the clock. And that has given us so much freedom. Now, this has nothing to do with learning styles or anything like that. This is just a first we do this, then we do this, then we do this. And however long it takes is however long it takes. Now, this eliminates so much stress because I don't feel the pressure of the clock ticking away. And when you have young children, especially, a rhythm can help your young children feel a sense of safety and security because they know what's coming up next. And it also eliminates a lot of those, Mom, I'm done. What do I do next questions? Because I think that was the one question that drove me crazy more than anything else when I had two little ones was, I'm done. What do I do next? And it was just a constant thing. And it was so much so that even my husband, who was active duty military at the time, when he would come home and he would hear it over and over, he would look at me and say, "Doesn't that make you nuts?" So we came up with this rhythm, and we were easily able to get our kids used to first we do this, then we do this. So my son knew, okay, I finished Bible, so now I have to do math. So he would just go and automatically get his math things and come to the table and wait for me. So it eliminates a lot of stress, a lot of questions throughout the day. Now, structuring your day without it feeling too rigid, that can be a little bit more of a complicated issue. But what I have found works is breaking up those larger tasks with lighter tasks. So if you start out with math or a heavy science, do something a little bit lighter and flip flop like that to help break it up for your child. And it will also help you too with because sometimes, as moms, we can get a little overwhelmed with those big subjects. So flip-flopping back and forth between lighter subjects and heavier subjects is going to help you in the long run. And I want you to think too, try not to be a teacher more so than be a mom. You are a mom. You are a homeschool mom. You are not a teacher in a public school setting with 30 some odd kids in your class. You don't have to try to be that. But I know a lot of us, in myself included, we're public schooled, and this is our first time kind of navigating this whole shebang of homeschooling. You don't have to try to be a public school teacher, so you can kind of let that stress fall off of you. So I never scheduled important tasks at the end of the day, kind of like Tana was saying. What I did is I always put important tasks at the beginning of the day. I kind of front load those before lunch. I want those done typically before lunch, if at all possible. So if something does happen in the middle of my day, which happens all the time, I at least have those important things done. So I always try to break things up and have something fun in the middle of the day. Right now, it's second breakfast for my teenage son. Yes, we are kind of hobbits. I'm just going to put that out there. We have a second breakfast with my husband, who's recently retired from the military, and around 10 a.m. they have second breakfast every single day. So that kind of throws a little bit of a break into our morning. And the secret to not being too rigid is to do that, is to be flexible and to kind of have those things kind of written into your day. You just know in your brain that those are going to come up. So be a mom, serve your family, and love your children. And if your day falls apart, which I have a chronic illness, I understand. It is not if things are going to fall apart, it's when. The goal is never to not have hard days. The goal is to know how to recover from those hard days. So a few years back, before I was diagnosed with my illness, I was sick all the time and I had a lot of falling apart days. But thankfully, I taught my children how to work independently of me, especially as they got into their teen years, and they were able to kind of carry their day by themselves without having to rely on me to tell them what assignments they needed to do each and every day. So life can happen quick and the whole house might need to adjust, as it did in my case. But again, be flexible, especially if you're like me and you have something like a chronic illness. Year to year, your homeschool is going to change and it's going to look different, and that's okay. And you need to expect that. You're not going to have the same homeschool that you did when your kids were little as you will when they're older. Now, because I have one son who's graduated and I have one who is going into 10th grade, I'm more of a manager than a homeschool mom at this point. I'm kind of the homeschool manager. So I oversee everything, but I don't have to sit there and nitpick and delegate all of the things. My son can pretty much do everything on his own without me even here. But that's the goal. Especially if we want kids who are going to be, going off to college, especially like in my youngest child's case, he's going to be going off to college. He needs to know how to manage his time and how to manage his subjects on his own. And so that teaches him good management skills, time management, and how to work those things. So if things don't go as planned, start over the next day. There are going to be days when things happen and emergencies come up and things happen. It's okay to scrap your whole day and just start over again the next day. Put on a movie, or what I did especially when my kids were younger, I had kind of these things that I would have planned in my house, like in the back of my mind too, just different activities that we would always do when we had those falling apart days. Now, I had things like sensory bends, I had manipulatives, and there were even days when I would do things, especially when the kids were in like just ugly moods. I would do picnic in the living room days. Do not underestimate the power of a picnic in your living room, especially if it's a rainy day and the kids are just, kind of fighting and stuff like that. We would put on a great movie, put a blanket down on the floor, and have lunch in the middle of the living room. And I don't know why it was always just a mood booster. And it was one of those things that I always just kind of planned for a rainy day and bad moods. And for some reason, it just made everybody really happy. But having those small things in the back of your mind can really change your whole homeschool day. And then the next day, start over again. There's no problem with starting over again. And if you don't have these things in mind or kind of have like a rose-colored glasses on when you start homeschooling, you can burn out really quick in the early years. And just like the early stages of motherhood, it has its ups and downs. I am not a mom of little kids anymore, but I can tell you this. Being a mom of teenage boys is just as stressful as being a mom of toddlers. It's a different kind of stress, like when you have to hand over your car keys to your oldest child, and it's a different kind of stress and it can give you gray hair very quickly. But parenting is hard at every stage, not just the little years, and we kind of have to adjust as moms and dads to that, and we kind of have to trust God that we're going to get through this and he's going to carry us through each and every step of this along the way. So overwhelm can come really easy especially when we're going through these life transitions. And I think it's especially so when a mom who has never been homeschooled decides, I'm going to homeschool my kids. And I remember making that decision. I already had a child in public school, so I didn't even start out with homeschooling. I started as a public school mom and kind of transitioned when my kid was already in. So I got to the point where I knew I could burn out really quick if I had this rosy colored vision in my head of what my homeschool should look like. So we put that pressure on ourselves, I think, a lot of times. But remembering that this is a homeschool, not a classroom, really helps. And as someone who has an educational background, that was really hard for me. We need to be a family together, not a classroom of 30 kids and a teacher. And we do not need to replicate the public school experience so they don't miss out and we feel all that pressure of having to give our kids the perfect homeschooling experience. So I would say some warning signs of this is if you are feeling burnt out all the time, if you're not getting a lot of sleep, it's not sustainable for a mom to be running on fumes. As a homeschooler, as a Christian, you should not be doing that. You should feel like you have time to sit down and read your Bible for a few minutes. Or if you need to, on a busy time, I put in my AirPods and I would listen to Bible on audio if I needed to. You need to be getting your daily word in, your daily prayer time. You need 5 minutes to yourself. So you might need to say no to some things for a while to get back on track. And that was something that was really hard for me because I am a people pleaser. Now, remember that kids feed off of the energy of mom and dad. So if you're stressed out, they're going to pick up on that and they are going to act accordingly to that. So we need to show them how to manage things like that because they will see you as an example. Also, if the joy is being sucked out of your home, that's also a red flag. God made us to glorify him forever and to have joy in Christ. And Christian homes should be marked by joy. But does that mean that we go around singing all day long and everything is rainbows and roses? Absolutely not. My house is full of boys and it is chaos. So our home should be filled with praise for God, but that doesn't mean that every day is going to be a great day. And one of those things, especially when we're talking about joy, is remembering that joy is different than happiness. And happiness is that temporary feeling that we have when everything is going right. That's when, oh, this math lesson went well today and it makes me happy, or the kids behaved today and that makes me happy. That isn't joy. Joy is everlasting joy that only comes from Jesus. And your happiness cannot be based on your children or even your husband or who you are as a homeschool mom, because our joy cannot come from being a homeschool mom. Because if it is, I'm in a lot of trouble because I have a high schooler and that's it left. So we can't find our identity in being a homeschool mom. We have to find our identity in Christ. And that is where I think we can, especially homeschool moms who are coming to the end of their journey like that, like me, that's something that I have to tell myself all the time. I'm not just Mandy the homeschool mom. I am the daughter of the Lord. I am more than being a homeschool mom. I'm more than just being a mom or a wife. So focus on Christ and not your circumstances, because even if your toddlers are running circles around your feet, you can still have joy in Christ. Even if you don't have coffee, you can still have joy in Christ. So once once all of those things fall away and you just focus on Jesus and you focus on the things that he wants you to do and you stay rooted in Christ, then everything kind of falls together and you're going to feel so much better as a mom, and you're going to feel like you have your homeschool all together. So I think I am about out of time.
So encouraging. Mandy, thank you so much. The things that I wrote down are obviously what you just ended with, that our identity is found first and foremost in Christ. What a precious promise that is that we have from him. And then earlier, the whole concept of trying not to be a teacher, and obviously in your case, be the mom. In my case, be the dad, right? And just, yeah, so immediately that pressure kind of goes away. But another point that you made, which I think is fantastic, is second breakfast. And I just want to introduce this into my family. So, perhaps if it's tacos, for breakfast, it would be even better. All right, I am way off topic here. Thank you again for the encouragement, Mandy. All right, before we move into our last question and answer segment, I'm excited to announce that our final winner of our Generations gift card giveaway today is Ruby Rendon. Congratulations, Ruby. Will email you after this webcast and coordinate with you about claiming your prize. So we're now going to move into a final Q&A. I'm going to invite Renee and Tana back into this as well. If you have questions at any of the conversations, any of the topics or additional topics, please feel free to use the Q&A button in your Zoom application and submit those. And we'll try to get to as many as we can in the few minutes that we have remaining for today. So, so let's see. Here's one. I'm curious. Maybe Mandy, we'll just start with you. You mentioned early on the pressure of scheduling, and a lot of organizations. You might be able to go to a website and download a free scheduler of some sorts. How do you? Two questions here. How do you, one, walk away from the pressure of feeling that you have to do it in a certain way? One, and two, if you have multiple kids, how do you manage that? I mean, you obviously had two boys. You have two boys. How did you have two different schedules for each one? So walk us through that a little bit.
So my boys are 3 years apart, but because of their birthdays, they ended up being 4 school years apart. And the way that it fell was so goofy because it was really hard to group them together, because I always had one in middle and one in high school, or one in middle and one in elementary school. And the levels just never worked out very often for me. So I kind of had two different schedules going at the same time. But what I did was kind of what I mentioned in my talk earlier, where I did a lot of flip-flopping. So if my one child, especially my oldest child, if I could get him set up on something where he could work independently, I would work with my youngest child on something that he needed me more for. And then I would reverse. So then I would give my youngest child something that he could do kind of on his own, and I would give my oldest child something that we needed to do together more one-on-one. So that way I don't have to be split up between the two. And a lot of times I was on my own because, like I mentioned, my husband is in the Marine Corps, and not while I'm not a single parent, I am the main parent for a lot of times. We got deployments and everything like that. So I had to kind of run my house like a well-oiled machine, but I didn't want to run my homeschool so rigid. I wanted that to be more relaxed because I'm a mom, not a teacher. So I wanted to kind of have a little bit of organization about it, but it's more like, I don't want to say organized chaos, but it was kind of, a relaxed organization. It does not need to be like the schedules that the public schools have. And I can talk a little bit to that just because I was in that world for a little while. And the whole reason you have to remember the whole reason that the public schools have such a rigid schedule is because they have so many kids and they have to do each thing by a certain minute on the clock. And if they get behind, it throws everything into chaos. We're not in that world. And I think we get that into our heads because so many of us went through the public school system. Homeschool is not like that. You can be a family, you don't have to be a school. And it's a totally different concept of education, but once you get it, there is a lot of freedom in that. So just try it even for a week if you are trying to stick to a schedule, and you will see just how much more calm it is for you and your kids.
I love that. Tana, would you have any additional points? You are obviously a mom of six. How would you respond to that question?
Um, we never used, so I think you're talking about the schedules you can download for a curriculum. We never used those. We tend to choose if it's curriculum that they're going to do independently, like reading, writing, math, basically, then for the younger ages, we choose curriculum where they just have to do the next lesson. So they know what they're going to do the next day. They don't have to have a schedule to figure it out. I don't need to look at the schedule. They just do the next lesson. And so the way our homeschool is structured is, in the morning we have group time and we're all together. Again, I always start at the breakfast table because they like to eat. And so we do that together. And then they have their independent learning time. And during that time, they all go work on their independent learning. And when it's time for me to instruct a child, I instruct them. If another kid needs me right then, I say, okay, I'm helping your brother. Go to the next thing on your list. For each kid that's younger, when they get into high school, upper middle school and high school, they have a separate planning system that they use on their own. I let them choose what it is. But for all the younger ones, they have a laminated checklist on the wall on a clipboard, and it just tells them this is the subject you're doing so that they can check off every day. I did my math, I did this, and they just do the next lesson. And then they have a rotating loop schedule for things they don't need to do every day, and they work themselves through that. So if I'm helping another child, they know to go work on their independent reading, and then they can come back to me when I'm free. And so that way I don't have to worry about trying to juggle all the things. I think the only thing that I really have to pay attention to is that nobody falls through the cracks. So I have to make sure to go check and make sure everybody's done their work. I have to look at their work and make sure everybody understands what they're doing and they didn't just run off and go play with Legos while I wasn't looking or whatever. So I also tend to keep the kids, I tend to keep them all downstairs, like they just so they're not going off in their room and losing their books and forgetting what they were doing. And that way I can kind of hop around. For years, I have three boys who are really close in age at the tail end, and I would just have them sit down at the table and do their table time, and they would do all their independent subjects at the table, and I would just go around the table and help them till they were done. And that way it was really fast. But now that they're a little older, I let them go on the couch and on the floor, and one of them was in the closet the other day doing math. I don't know why. So yeah, it works. It's loose, but it works.
Thank you for that. That's awesome. Mandy, I'm gonna throw this one back over to you. So, a mom here is asking the question, how do I move from parenting as or teaching homeschooling in a reactionary mode to more of a proactionary or a proactive mode. The question kind of alluded to the fact that it seems like almost everything that she is doing seems to be reacting to a particular situation, whether it's a blow up of some sort or some other an event in the home. How does one move from constantly feeling like they're in the reactive mode to one that's more in this proactive mindset?
I think we're probably all guilty of that at some point, I think that that happens. I mean, because we are a family and we're doing things in the home, and I think it's really easy to get caught up in all of the things that are happening, behavior problems with one child, or, a sticky situation with another, or maybe you and your husband just had an argument. And it can be really hard to go from one mode of thinking to the next. And for me, what I would do is I kind of just try to push all of that out of my brain and say, okay, for this moment right here, we are going to not worry about those other things, and we're going to read this book. And I know it can be kind of hard sometimes to, kind of wipe the slate in your own mind and just kind of focus on what's happening. But these situations are going to come up all the time, but school still has to get done. You still have to, move to a new lesson. But there's no problem either if something is really happening in your home, or something major is going on. It is okay to take a break and pick it up again later on, and maybe use that as an opportunity to talk with your kids through whatever is happening, if especially if you're having some kind of behavior problem that is a major problem, not just a small thing. Use that as a learning opportunity, because life is education, life is learning. We're learning through these situations together and navigating, and everything that happens, your kids are watching. They're seeing how you're reacting to different situations in your home, and how you're reacting toward them and your husband and everything else that might be happening. I know for me, when the summer after COVID, so like it was July of 2020, my grandmother, who was like a mother to me, passed away very unexpectedly. And we were about ready to start school. I started school 4 weeks late because I was still grieving, and my kids were seeing that. And I knew I would not be able to go through starting a brand new school year. And I did not want to start it off like that in just heavy mourning. And the kids saw me go through that. They saw me lean on my church and kind of how they walked me through that whole process with my family. So take those as learning opportunities for you and your child, and, pray heavily, lean on Christ, and you will get through those times.
Thank you, Mandy, for being so vulnerable and sharing that experience as well. Really, really encouraging. Renee, we're going to turn this back over to you for another question. Someone asked, I have a strong-willed preschooler, and I've noticed that she is basically a perfectionist. So, for example, when she's writing out numbers or letters, she gets frustrated that each one does not look exactly the same. How would you encourage this parent, this mom or dad, in trying to help the young perfectionist within the home?
Boy, I can identify with that. One time my little one was sorting the silverware and she kept the fork hovered over the drawer, and I said, "Put the fork in the drawer." And she just would, and I'd say, "What is the problem?" Because a minute later she said, "Well, it'll scratch the other fork." And I thought, "Oh dear, I have 18 years of a perfectionist here that I'm dealing with." I would up the prizes. This sounds manipulative, and it is to get out of that. But okay, if you finish this page of writing your thing, then you're going to get, a chocolate covered raisin or something, or we're going to race outside to do such and such. But you'll have to finish this, And then I also have three huge sand timers, one for 1 minute, one for 5 minutes, and one for 10 minutes. And I use that 1 minute timer really a lot. If you can get this done, then you get to blah, blah, blah. So dangling the carrot of inspiration out in front and the carrot of what they get to do next is a helpful way to get through that. But yes, some kids come out of the birth canal with very, very difficult wiring that you have to navigate. That's what motherhood and fatherhood is all about. I tell moms that they have nurturing moments with their children all through the day. That is what a family is, as Mandy said so eloquently. The family. You are going to be involved in a lot of nurturing moments and a lot of moving the ship forward. And that is what's so beautiful about it in the public school. And I was in the public school as a teacher. You just can't get that kind of attention and time with 30 kids, and they fall through the cracks all over the place. So, this nurturing, just saddle in that this is what it is. This is what parenting is. This is what moving the ship forward is all about. And enjoy those nurturing moments. So you smile and say, was this something love could fix? Or, throw some humor in there.
Love that. Thanks for that encouragement and that expertise. Renee, I'm going to ask you this next question. And Tana, I'm going to ask that you also bring your perspective as well. So, someone is asking, in attempting to teach history or social studies or science, and they've got a variety of ages, be it kindergarten, third grade, sixth grade, ninth grade, whatever it might be, how do you make sure that all the kids are kind of at attention, focused, doing their work at the same time? When you're attempting to teach something like science or history at the same time, what give some practical advice as far as just the family dynamics during those kind of not heavy subjects, but something that might involve a little bit more?
You want me to go first?
Please, Renee.
Okay. Well, I say to parents, don't be on the bleeding edge of all your subjects at once. You go wide when you're not going forward, deep. Enrichment is valuable. It builds security and it solidifies those things. But don't be on the bleeding edge of every subject with every child, or you're going to go crazy. You might have to hit it when they go to bed at night. Just sit there with a clipboard on your lap with one and say, well, I just want to make sure we get this one thing covered. And so stagger when you're developing new material.
Thank you. Tana?
Okay, just to make sure I understand the question, we're talking about multi-level teaching and how to do that at the table, basically, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So the way we do this is we have everybody, they're used to it now. At first, it took some training, but they're all at the table from, now sometimes I watch a preschooler and a 2-year-old too on occasion. And so we're all at the table, and the little ones have something to draw with, or some, the water to paint with. If there's no paint, they just paint with water for the really little ones. But the younger elementary kids have something to draw with and a space to write in for a piece of paper. And then all my older kids from middle school on up, I've taught them how to take notes. So when I'm doing a Bible lesson with all of them, for example, or a science lesson with all of them, I tend to aim for the middle, the middle range. So if I've got kids from preschool to high school, I'll aim for maybe upper elementary range of the content that I'm presenting, but make it, short and engaging. Maybe it's, reading aloud and asking some questions and doing some oral narration around the table. My older kids are all taking notes on everything that is being discussed. And then when we're done, the younger kids have drawn something and I help them write something based on what we taught, what we learned. My older kids have additional assignments. So they have to go do an extra reading, or they're going to do a speed essay. We do a lot of speed essays for our high schoolers. They're going to go do a little bit of research and come back to me and show me what they've learned. And then we pull everything in our notebooking pages and put them in our notebooks. And so over time, it started really simple. It was just us around the table, everybody draw and write something. That's it. And then over time, as I got older kids, I just graduated one, but I've still got 3 now coming up in high school. And so, or 2, I know what my kids are doing, I promise. So the 2 in high school, they have an extra load, but having that together time is so valuable. So we at least do 2 subjects a year all together. Because it's bonding, our kids bond with each other. We're learning from each other. The olders start to learn a little bit of teaching and mentoring of the younger ones in those moments. So we do try to at least do 2 subjects even with the older ones.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask one more question of Mandy, and I feel like we could probably go for a couple more hours here. There's so much wealth of wisdom that's represented between the three of you. We're so thankful for your participation today. But Mandy, you talked about the fact of attempting to find those moments to bring sanity by focusing on Christ. I'm wondering if you would share perhaps a recent or maybe something that was memorable to you where you were able to just escape to find or basically realign yourself in focusing back on Christ in one of those either crisis moments or troubling moments in the homeschooling years. Would you be able to share something?
Absolutely. So I had my whole world turned upside down just about 4 years ago. What started as what I thought was late 30s back pain ended up being a degenerative bone disease where my spine is essentially fusing together, and it's going to eventually put me into a wheelchair, unless I do a lot of preventative measures. And going through the process of getting diagnosed was an absolute nightmare, especially with military stuff going on. And it threw my whole homeschool upside down because all of a sudden I realized I can't stand up and teach anymore. I have a problem walking. I mean, my husband almost had to literally carry me from place to place around the house. And it was one of those moments, I think, on the couch where I wanted to feel sorry for myself so bad. And, the tears just well up. And it's like, I don't understand how this is my life. I'm only 40 and I'm going to be wheelchair bound by the time I'm 50. It's what it looks like. And I really had to stop feeling sorry for myself and to focus on Christ just to make dinner that night or just to take care of my own basic needs. But then I had homeschooling on top of it. And I think one of the best things that I did for my homeschooling adventure in general was just teaching my kids how to be independent because they were able to kind of move on, with me or without me. And, that's why I like using curriculum that kind of shows them, like Tana was saying, like in the book, what to do next, like the next lesson. So having teenagers through that really helped. But I was able to actually just do school on the couch with my children, and that was very helpful. And we named it couch schooling, and that's what we started doing. We started doing couch schooling until I was able to start walking again on my own, and eventually, making steps and strides to get better. And my kids did so good at that point. They were so good with the whole situation, but it you really, really have to take the focus off of yourself during those crisis moments, especially because if we don't focus on Christ and we do focus on ourselves, we can make a problem so much worse for us and our whole family. And we can feel sorry for ourselves and we can make everything so much worse just by focusing inward instead of focusing upward. And that was what I really, really had to do. And I still do that to this day. There are days where I have what we call high pain days. And that's my those are my hard days where I have to lean heavily on Jesus, and I have to lean heavily on my family and on my husband and sometimes even my church to get us through. But those are the moments also where I think Christ grows us as individuals, as moms, as wives, and even as homeschool moms. And my husband likes to say that homeschooling is like holy sandpaper. It will refine you in all kinds of different ways throughout your entire life. And he's so right. And every now and then when we have a hard day, we're like, oh, it's a holy sandpaper day.
Thank you, Mandy, for again being vulnerable on that. So appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us today. Before we close, I just wanted to remind you one more time about the foundation sale that is happening right now on the Generation Store. Again, those discounts are 25% off K through sixth grade sets and individual courses, 35% off all K through sixth grade packs, 40% off individual science and history audiobooks, and 50% off science and history audio sets. You can shop all those discounts at generations.org/sale. So that concludes our webcast for today. We want to thank you, Tana, Renee, Mandy, so much. We want to thank you, all of the participants that were able to listen and be a part of our webcast today. If you didn't get your question answered, feel free to email us at mail@generations.org, and our team will do our best to answer those questions and assist you the best that we possibly can. Also, a replay from today's webcast will be posted within the next 24 hours, and you'll be notified by email when it is available. We hope you were encouraged by our webcast today, and we hope that you'll be able to join us again next time. Let me take a minute here and close us with a word of prayer. Father, again, we want to come to you and we just thank you so much for the wisdom of these three ladies and what they were able to bring to the table for discussion today. Most importantly, Lord, we thank you so much for your son, Jesus. It is really because of him that we have the ability to move and breathe and have our being. And we are so grateful for the hope that we have of our salvation because of what Christ has done for us. Father, if there is anything that we're able to do today that is good, may it be for your honor and your glory alone. Bless us now as we close this webcast. I pray that it will be honorable to you and beneficial to all of us. We love you, Lord Jesus. Thank you so much for loving us. It's in your name that we pray. Amen. All right. God bless you all.